Hello and welcome to Industry Spotlight with Creative First. Our guest today is Pankaj Jaisingh, CEO, Distribution and Film Services, UFO Movies. Pankaj has more than 2 decades of experience in distribution and exhibition of Indian and Hollywood films. At UFO Movies, he's responsible for UFO Movies Network, Pan-India sales and distribution. He has been instrumental in leading the company to its leadership status in terms of network strength. Prior to joining UFO Movies, he was associated with Sri Ashtavinayak Cinevision Limited and was responsible for setting up the distribution department of the company and has successfully released many big banner films. He has worked closely with distribution departments of Warner Brothers, Columbia TriStar Films, and Sony Pictures Entertainment. He's a management graduate from Case Western Reserve University, USA. Pankaj, welcome to this discussion with Creative.
Thank you.
Pankaj, how has distribution changed over the years, especially in a post-pandemic world?
It has changed and it keeps changing. You sleep with one type of a distribution SOPs in the night and you wake up with something different in the morning. I've never seen this kind of a change in throughout my life, what I have been there in the distribution over here. See, basically what we see is we have the marketing is the most important for any distribution. The marketing now has totally changed over to social media rather than on the print media. Secondly, we have a lot of transparency which has come into the business. The transparency again has happened is because of the UFO primarily coming into the network and UFO having providing the logs for the number of shows that have been screened. The places where the theaters are getting the content, the names of the cinemas which are there. So it is changing dramatically, not only for the Indian movies which are there, but even now the Japanese movies are coming. If you are aware of it, Loita, the movie Red, which was released by PVR, without any publicity or anything. Can you imagine that? That movie did fantastically well on the day of the release without publicity, and the change which you are mentioning in the distribution. The number of cinemas overnight it grew to. If it would have been on print, it would have grown to a very limited number of cinemas because the prints were a scarcity. Now, because of the proliferation of the digital network, it went to a huge number of cinemas. So huge changes between now and then.
How strong is the international network of film distribution, and what do you see as the next breakout market for Indian films to be distributed in?
Unfortunately, the war came in between, Loita, which you couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't do anything about it. But the Russian market has started opening up. And that was, in fact, we were in talks with a couple of prominent exhibitor chain and the intermediaries in Russia to open up our market over there. And as UFO, we would have been the first always to open up a market and do it. So I see the Chinese market and the Middle East market, which will be whenever there is a certain amount of stability, these two markets will open up greatly now. Saudi, we are hearing the number of cinemas are going up, and we have an office in UAE. All our network is managed from Dubai. And yes, we look at the Middle East and the Russian market as a big breakout markets now.
UFO is the only distribution company with a pan-India presence. Can you tell us a bit about the process for successfully distributing a film across regions?
Yes, we have 24 offices across India. And I have my doubts if anyone else has their own offices, 24 offices pan-India. The greatest advantage of having the 24 offices is that our staff is in connect with the exhibitors over there, with the local distributors also over there. So today we would be doing a Chhattisgarhi movie or an Assami movie or a Punjabi movie or a Gujarati movie, and we are aware that this is the producer, this would be the approximate strength of the movie, this is the kind of marketing that it will require, and at the same time spread the awareness of these movies by direct contact with the exhibitors, sending the posters, the digital posters or the wall posters, the banners, and playing the trailers over there. It makes a lot of difference with this 24 offices. And immediately this 24 offices get in touch. If it is a mainstream movie, all the 24 offices will get in touch that this is the feedback they're getting for a particular movie in their region. And based on that particular feedback, they would share with each other and just spread out and distribute a movie.
What are the key challenges for your sector?
Okay, we are in a lot of things from digital cinemas to distribution, and now we are getting into the exhibition sector also.
Right. Let's take it
Uh,
segment wise. Yes.
Yes. So if I go sector-wise, exhibition sector, as you were discussing earlier, Valita, that the density of the theaters is very low as of now. When we see in China, from 6,000 or 8,000 cinemas across, they have gone up to about 80,000 cinemas. That has been with the backing of the government over there. If this challenges by the government is cooperative and puts in its best, those challenges would be met. We will come to those challenges later. In the distribution, I think more or less we are there now with the corporates coming in. Earlier, it used to be basically pop and mom stores kind of a thing, each cinema handled by a different family. Now we have more or less an integration coming in, and a lot of chains are coming in. With the chains coming in, with the digitization happening, the logs of the movies coming in, the tickets going online, the challenges over there have been more or less met right now. Then the third stakeholder is the producer. The production sector, yes, it does need a lot of backup, because if we are going to be increasing the number of cinemas, the production side also has to receive a lot of benefits and incentives to meet up with that. So that would be in the production sector. If we can take it further, yes, these are the three stakeholders which we can discuss.
Right. Would you want to highlight any further challenges in, probably in distribution or anything else?
Yeah, in the production sector, I would say distribution, like I said, more or less has been taken care of with the corporatization happening, and this was a good thing to happen. In the production sector, these days we are hearing a lot of states coming up with that film cities. They would want to come up with the film cities. We have something coming up in Chandigarh, and something we read about it in the UP coming up. Maybe the next destination would be Goa also. We were in touch with someone in Goa for something like a film city. So this film cities, and now with the technology, you need not be in UK to film a scene in UK. You could be sitting in wherever you're sitting and filming the scenes over there. So some kind of, again, it's everything, the infrastructure cost is huge. A land bank which can be given to the, and managed by the state itself, equipped by the state, if this kind of a production facility and then the subsidies for the production come in, it will go a long way in further increasing the quality of the movies. Number of movies is not important, understand. Very clearly, I'm mentioning the quality of the movies. For example, I would tell you the Gujarati movies. Earlier time, the Gujarati movies, the qualities were atrocious. Now they started getting a platform. The cinemas increased. They started getting a platform with the multiplex chains. The quality of the movie started increasing. The quality of the movie starts increasing. What we mentioned earlier and what we discussed, the network goes across the border also. Where you don't have Indian population, you have Indian population pan India. So once the quality increases and the pan India, the population who is sitting outside India is more used to the quality that they would be wanting. So if the film cities come up, the land bank is given by the government to the production houses, the infrastructure is set up over there, it will be very helpful to the producers as such. And if I come on to now the exhibition sector, we have been having this policies here. What we would say again, it's a land bank. We need one window clearance is what we are mentioning all the time. Many a times, again, don't hold me and don't take it against me. But from what we hear from our exhibitors is the licenses are valid from January to December. Sometimes the approvals of the application would be sent in January, but the approvals come in pretty late for whatever reason that would be. So they are either busy or there are some other issues or whatever. And the licenses come at the fag end of the year. Until then, a temporary license is given to them, and there are various such issues which are there for the permanent clearances to be given. So those clearances can be speeded up. Secondly, the government again in each and every state is sitting on a lot of land banks. So if they can give a land bank at a long lease to the cinemas, we should be having a cinema pin code wise. Make it a pin code wise. Today, what we see is the cinemas are huge numbers of cinemas are there in the cities. It's overfilled with them. Moment you go inside, I will give you the examples. If I go to Andaman Nicobar, there is only one cinema over there. If I go to Arunachal Pradesh, there are only 6 cinemas over there, and none of the multiplex chains are over there. Now, such places, if the land banks are given to them at long lease, It can help the production, the exhibition sector also take a lease. And typically, in each and every cinema, you should be having a two-screen cinema, have some sort of shopping center over there for them, and you can typically have some sort of community hall in there. That would help the exhibition sector, and that should be all in the policies.
So, what you just said is ideal as a recommendation for the proposed, theater policy that MIB has just announced. Any other views in terms of, any other recommendations that you would have?
The sooner the better it is. We keep discussing. The policies have been are being discussed since a long time, but by the time they come out, it's extremely late. It is suffocating the industry a lot right now. So already we have a lot of points which we should be acting upon. If one sits down and makes it say that, okay, by the end of March 2023, we are going to have some sort of a policy. And understand, this business is very dynamic. None of the policies on day one are going to be perfect, but do come out with a policy and give it out. As far as the land banks for the production sector or the exhibition sector and the licenses which are concerned, these are the three important points. So sit down and at least finalize that, then later on the other things will keep moving.
Sure. What makes cinema business thrive? Is the theater experience here to stay?
We all have a kitchen in the house, right? But yet we go to the restaurants. Just because you have a kitchen at home, just because you have an OTT or a satellite platform and you can watch the movies at home, that doesn't mean you will not go out to the restaurants, right? It's an experience going to the restaurant. It's not that you don't get food at home or you don't make the same food at home, but you need to go out to the restaurant to enjoy yourself. The cinemas are here to stay. And of course, having said that, all depending upon the content. If the restaurant is not serving good food, the restaurant is not going to survive. If the cinemas are not kept up to date, the cinemas are not going to survive. If the content is not good, the content is not going to continually screen in the cinemas. So there are two things which I mentioned over here. One is the cinema experience definitely is here to stay. For it, what is essential to keep the cinema, give them value for money. Today, you have whether it is a 75 rupee ticket, which we have been all discussing in the FICCI and across that it was a 75 rupee ticket. So if you can maintain a cinema in 75 rupees, please maintain it. If you can maintain a cinema in 100 rupees, please maintain it. We see a lot of old time cinemas are closing down. So if the cinemas are not maintained and not kept up to their mark, they will close down. Secondly, the movie content has to be good. We were earlier also discussing the time between the cinemas, the movie comes into the cinema hall and then it reaches your living room on the OTT or the satellite. That time gap is less. So the content really has to be good. And that is what we are actually working on as of now. Post-pandemic, where we see the tastes have changed, you are getting a lot of South Indian movies into the North and the North movies going to be South. You are increasing the amount of content which is available for the cinemas as well as for the audiences. That is what was required and that is what is happening right now. So yes, if the content is good and the cinemas are good, the cinema experience is here to stay and the cinemas are not going anywhere.
Pankaj, are traditional cinema halls tying up with digital platforms in any unique way?
It's not going to help much. The traditional cinemas are... See, traditionally the cinemas were made as per the taste of that time. You had 800,000, 1,200 seater cinemas. It's why we had 1,200 or 800 or 1,300 seater cinemas, because they were located in a central place. The people from the adjoining areas would travel to that particular cinema so that the cinema could sustain the 1,000-seater capacities. Now the cinemas are going to the rural areas or into the suburbs. Today, any suburb that you would take, Thana, which at erstwhile would be a far-off suburb, today it's a main suburb. You have so many number of newer cinemas over there, so they need not tie up with the OTT platform or anything. It's just that the cinema itself has to be maintained well and it has to be good and be there. So the programming has to be perfect. The number of shows that you have in any particular property has increased. So no need of a tie-up as such. The traditional cinemas, no way.
Thank you. Alluding to, your response earlier, the wait time between a movie release and, when we catch it on TV or on curated platforms is very different. And we really don't have to wait at all these days. How does this impact the distribution process as well as consumer habits?
Fortunately, we have been into distribution, and I can quote from my particular experience. We had a movie called Ram Prasad Ki Tevi, which we distributed. This was a Jio's movie. It did superb in the theaters. Even after going onto the OTT platforms and the satellites, it still continued running in the cinemas, in lesser number of cinemas, but it continued running in the cinemas. This was about a couple of years back. Recently, we did Rocketry. This was about 12 weeks back. So this was the 1st of July, if I'm not mistaken. And today we are sitting in October. Even today, the movie is being seen in theaters. Today also, I have the release orders being sent out to the theaters. So coming back to my earlier discussion, if the movie is good, the OTT platforms, satellite platforms don't matter. If the movie is not good, God bless. So the shorter period also doesn't matter. It's an experience of going to the cinemas, watching something on the bigger screen, watching something along with your friends who you cannot call at home all the time. So yes, this is how it is.
How have smaller films benefited from a theatrical release?
Ram Prasad Ki Tevi, had it not gone on to the theater, it would not have got the kind of prices and the viewership and the awareness. Basically, let us forget about the prices for a minute. To create the awareness, which is the first most important, the prices and everything are ancillary to the awareness which is being created. They are the byproducts of the awareness which is being created. So the kind of awareness which Ram Prasad created by going theatrically, it was phenomenal. The same thing is with your Charlie 777, which we did. Before the release, I mean, hardly anyone would have even taken it up for the theatrical release. But again, UFO's 24 offices which are across, UFO's promotion by way of trailers in the theaters, UFO's promotion by talking to the exhibitors all the time. We could take it extremely wide. And believe me, so happy, the producer is so happy today, which all resulted not only in the awareness of the movie, awareness of the actors also. Further, it gives an impetus to the other producers also that even I will really can produce such a movie and take it to the screens over there. So this has been a great advantage. For the smaller movies, Karthikeya 2, the producer made a specific poster over there from 50 to 1200 cinemas. Because on day one we had 50 cinemas. On day 4 we are having 1200 cinemas. Again, so this has been very good platform, the digitization, UFO being there in the distribution, UFO creating that awareness through its offices. It has really helped the small movies. Second thing is, again, this morning I was talking to someone. They said, when is the next big movie coming in? I told them, Baba, my small movies are becoming big. So this is the kind of platform now, as in with the UFO, that the smaller producers, the producers of the smaller movies are getting now.
Yes, and to your earlier point, if I'm seeing that you and UFO are doing a great job in marketing the whole package, including spreading awareness. That combined with if land parcels being given for more theaters, that combined with cheaper tickets, I don't see why people will not throng the theaters, right?
They will not. Why they will not throng the theaters? Because yes, we are right from the day one.
Yes.
From exhibition, which we are providing our equipments to the theaters. We are providing the advertisement to the theaters. The smaller theaters, they don't have the bandwidth of going to a particular advertiser. Let us say it is a Hindustan Levers. A smaller chain or a smaller network cinema cannot go to Hindustan Levers and say, give me the advertisement in my 15 minutes of interval, please. It is in UFO as we would aggregate things. Today, your aggregation has happened. With maybe your Swiggy's and Zomatos and everything, they aggregate everything. We started it way back, 15 years back, imagine. We aggregated all the cinemas into one platter and then offer it to the advertisers that, yes, I have a platter of 4,000 or 5,000 cinemas. Would you like to advertise over here? This were the cinemas which were, nowhere on the map of the exhibitor. They didn't even know. And yet they would have their clients over there. You have the sachets, your shampoo sachet, or your sachet for suparis, or your sachets for something. how are they going to advertise in the media dark regions? It was only through UFO's 15 minutes of interval time where we would buy the advertisement from the cinemas. Remember, we buy the advertisements by giving a specific minimum guarantee to these cinemas. And then the Hindustan Levers may it be, or your tractors Mahindra and Mahindra would be, or whoever it is that they come onto our platform, they advertise it, and we created a win-win situation for all of them.
That's fantastic. What's next for UFO movies?
I think we already have our hands on a lot of few things right now, and let us make those strength itself take it further. And the first most important point is our bread and butter is basically the cinemas. So we need to grow the cinemas from whatever the universe today is 8,000. From the 8,000 cinemas, I hope we reach somewhere or on the same track as China. Let us grow it to not 8,000 to at least 20,000, 25,000 as in the next year or 2 or 3. That should be the first target for all of us, because the moment the cinemas will grow from 25,000 to 30,000, and we hope to play a leading part in that. It will be a win-win situation for the audiences. They get to see the movies. The producers, they'll get a larger platform to screen their movies in. More smaller movies, more language movies can come in. The more producers are going to be happy. So all the stakeholders are going to be happy moment you increase your bandwidth of the number of our cinemas in India, which should be there. 10, 15 years back, we had about 12 to 13,000 cinemas across in India. The number, instead of growing, has gone down to 8,000 cinemas today, 8,000 and odd, 8,200, 8,400, maybe 9,000 cinemas. But from 12, 13,000, you have gone down to 9,000. There has been a churn. It is not that the same cinemas have gone down from 12,000 to 13,000 and the universe is static. The old ones have closed down. The newer ones are coming in. But the newer ones are coming in, and as we discussed earlier, they are coming in more in the tier 1 and tier 2A categories. Now we need to see this proliferation happening in 2B, 2C, and 3. So this should be the next for UFO to provide an impetus for the cinemas, and it's going to be good for all the stakeholders put together.
Thank you so much, Pankaj, for this fantastic discussion. I hope to be in touch with you. We must take this conversation further and bring out some policy changes. I think screen density is a subject now which should be addressed immediately. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.